Peter from the Kia Hyundai channel. Welcome to our live video series. We were supposed to do the Kia Forte today, the 2022 Kia Forte. We had a whole new trim line and the GT model, but those vehicles have not shown up yet, so we had to pivot last minute. And when we pivot, we work with what we've got. So what we've got today is the top two trim lines in Canada of the Hyundai Santa Cruz. One of them happens to be mine, and I get it. I know my vehicle's been on video a whole lot. I apologize, but it's the only one I have of this trim line other than the general manager of Brantford Hyundai, who has a black one, and black doesn't film as well. So we've got my vehicle back on here again. So what we're looking at today is the top of the line model, which is the ultimate model in Canada, and the preferred trend model. So we're going to make sense of that in just a minute or two here. First of all, if you're just joining us and you're not live with us, we do these videos live every single weekday at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And if you're not live with us and you just want to get to the content, you can skip right ahead to the 3-minute mark. And if you're live with us, I'll show you how to join, or if you want to stick around, I'll show you how to join us live. And we'll also talk about some news and some notes, and we will go here. All right, loud and clear in the UK. That's pretty cool. All right, flipping around here, this is how you join us live. You go to our YouTube channel exactly at 2 o'clock Eastern time, which it is right now. And if you refresh the page, you're going to see that this home screen right there, that little video disappears, and you get our live videos. We're going to click into that. You're going to have to watch a quick little ad. And, ooh, that's a view that is not working for me. So bear with me for a second here. We're going to skip the ads, and we're going to change the view here. Default view. There we go. All right, so what we've got, first of all, if you're in Ontario and you're looking to buy a car, there are 3 dealers that support this channel: Brantford Kia, Brantford Hyundai, and Owenstown Hyundai. If you are looking to buy a vehicle, there'll be a link in the description after this video is done. Just click it. You can connect with me, and I will connect you up with our sales team for anyone in Ontario. All right, news and notes. Like I mentioned, we're trying to get the Kia Forte. There's a new GT line, and again, that's had the upgrade, the refresh for 2022, excuse me. So we're trying to get that done, or that on film, and a GT. We were supposed to have both of them today. We haven't been able to get them yet. So I'm hoping now to have them in here tomorrow. We did the Elantra yesterday, so we'll have those vehicles to compare to, but this is a surprise video in between. And like I said, we pivoted, but I've been wanting to do this video for a while, so we're gonna do it today instead. What else is going on? EV6s are selling like crazy right here at our dealership. So if you want an EV6, you've got to get in line. There will be very few of them. We don't have full pricing yet. We don't have full details on the exact trim lines, what's in exact trim line, but you can order it and get your place in line. There's no penalty if you want to cancel your order or if you want to move within the trim line, but you will reserve your place in line, and we'll try to make sure that you get a vehicle this way. So that's why we're doing that. Ioniq 5 should be on video as early as this month. It's on rail, so we'll see that soon as well, and we're already at the 3-minute mark. All right, 3 minutes in, let's just make some excuses here. Inventory shortages across the world are starting to hit this channel. Just this month, we've hit some snags here. So we have limited inventory here at Brantford Kia. Brantford Hyundai's got a few more cars than us, but I was gonna do the Forte video and I couldn't today, so we pivoted. So that means that these vehicles were kind of last minute decisions, and yes, it's not clean. I'm gonna use that to my advantage today and show you some benefits of that a little bit later in the video, but I do apologize for not being perfect condition, but I've wanted to do this video for a while, and we are in Canada, and there are some differences between the both the top trim in Canada and the States, all those less differences there, and sort of the next line down in Canada and the States. So I want to make sure that there's good Canadian information out there, and also let you Americans know what you're missing, and the rest of the world who doesn't get this vehicle right now, let them know what they're missing as well. So we're going to try to do a full in-depth vehicle or explanation of what's going on with these vehicles. And to start, let's just start with pricing. All right, so you have a couple trim lines here. Technically in Canada, there's 2 trim lines, but in reality, there's 3. So there's the preferred model, which I have not actually seen yet. We have not got on that on video yet. It's a different trim in Canada. All of our Canadian models have the 2.5-liter turbo, and you're gonna see higher prices than in the States, and that's because they're higher equipped. However, $44,799 in Canada for our ultimate trim is less expensive than your American model of 41-something when you start doing the exchange rate. So we do have less expensive cars in Canada overall, but you don't get the lower trim line with the non-turbo engine in Canada. So what we have in front of us is the preferred trend. So that's the preferred. If we select this here, which we're gonna do, you have to add on that $38,499. Where am I? Go down to the next section. You have to add on the $2,900 trend package, which we'll talk about in this, but it basically adds a lot of this stuff in there. So it is quite a bit of package in that, and quite a bit of stuff in that package to end up at this vehicle. Now, the other thing that's interesting is You now can't get this color anymore. I think it was called Sandstorm. It's already been discontinued. I asked why, and I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know if there's a shortage of the color. I don't know if they just decided not to go with it anymore, but many vehicles came in with this color at the very beginning of when we started getting these, and it's already been discontinued. So before most people have even heard of the vehicle, it's discontinued, which means this color is a collector's edition, and you should probably get it if you like it, because that's all you're gonna get with it. So there we go. Santa Cruz, you can't lose. That's pretty funny. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in detail on both this vehicle and that vehicle, start looking at the differences, talk about the features, and we're gonna take your questions as well. We've done these vehicles before, and like I mentioned off the very top, this happens to be my personal vehicle. It's been on way too many videos, but we're working with inventory shortages, and it's the best version I have of that car, because the only other one I can have access to is a black one, and just white film's better. It's easier to show you guys. I do have winter tires on this that happen to be the same size as this. Exact same wheel and tire size. Normally on the Ultimate package, you would have, let me show you here, this is the exact same car, you would have those wheels right there. So the white vehicle comes standard with those wheels, and for anybody who's gonna ask me later in the video, why are the wheels different, that's why, and I'll just refer you back to the 6 minute and 15 second, or 6 minute section of this video where we talk about the wheels being different. So these are the same size because I downsized my winter tires. All right, let's jump in. First thing I'm gonna do is show you what the key looks like. And this is the key, very simple. You have lock, unlock. You can hold this down to power open the tailgate, which we'll show you a little bit later. And then there's the horn button, and you do have remote start on the key, which is nice to have. So remote start right on the key. Same key for both vehicles. We are gonna start in the lower trim line here, just for the ease of one-handed operation, because I have a hand on the camera all day. I'm gonna leave this bed box open, or the tonneau cover open. I'm gonna have that one closed. So there's no difference between these two beds, and we'll get to that in a second, but that's why I've got one open and one closed. It just makes it easier to do my job right now, because I'm working alone here. Jumping in, first of all, let's just look at the dirt for a second here. Because I didn't clean this, we have an advantage in filming of showing you some stuff. You have, a lot of vehicles have sort of that plastic trim along the bottom, but this one jumps up at the front. And I actually kind of like that, because it's more than just a styling cue that adds some, artificial ground clearance appearance to the vehicle. It also has some function of when you're kicking up the loose gravel and the dirt and the rocks and the kind of stuff you might take this vehicle on, it actually hits the plastic instead of the paint, which I kind of like. But you also have these doors, front and rear, that wrap around the vehicle. And what that means is you can see here, although this is a dirty vehicle, look how clean it is in here. And the reason is because that down there on the bottom is a rubber seal, which the door mounts up to and touches, and it keeps the dirt away from your pant leg, which is kind of cool, because when you get out of a little bit taller vehicle, and it is a little bit taller vehicle, when you get out of there, you can rub your pant leg there and you won't have a dirty pant leg. So both these vehicles are claimed to have a payload of 1,614 pounds up to. However, on the mid-level, which is this, and the top-level trim, the actual sticker, the actual payload capacity, if I can zoom in there, is 1,411. You can see it right there. So 1,411 may or may not seem like a lot of weight to you, but I can tell you right now, I've gone out to full-size pickup trucks with a bunch of options, and there's actually less carrying capacity in these vehicles. So when we talk about a Santa Cruz, they always say it's built on the Tucson platform, and technically that's correct, but this platform was built from the ground up to carry the Santa Cruz. If the Santa Cruz had come out first, they would have said the Tucson is built on the Santa Cruz platform, right? So it is not a weak platform in any way. It's not a Tucson with a bed, and a lot of people say, oh, it drives just like, I'm gonna go harp on some of the, I call them lazy auto reviewers. They say it drives just like the Tucson. It doesn't. It has a longer wheelbase, it has a different suspension, it's a wider track, it actually drives different, and it's, to my opinion, the best driving Hyundai that they make. It's very Genesis-like in the way it smooths out ripples and bumps and drives very well. So you're dealing with sort of more than a Tucson here. Jumping into this trim line, the seats are actually identical. I have the same sort of striping in here, or piping in there, excuse me. In both vehicles, they are leather seats. These ones have perforations. On the higher trim, you will have perforations in the seat like that are actually ventilated. These are just sort of there for style. They're heated but not ventilated. In Canada, this is the midline trim in the dash. And you can think on this video that it's gonna look basically exactly the same in both vehicles, but there are some feature differences. Things like, oh, we need to get fuel in here. I knew that actually. But things like our intelligent speed limit assist, which shows you the speed limit. You can set it up to go red if you go over the speed limit, and you can change that around. You can't get that on this vehicle. So there are some feature differences that are in here. Things like the smart cruise control is great, but you don't get that smart cruise control with the intelligent speed limit assist in this vehicle. And if you're wondering what intelligent speed limit assist is, I've done a video on that, and we should talk about that. Well, you can just check that out in our channel as well. I've also done a vehicle on the terrain modes, the snow mode specifically. We took the vehicle out in the snow and we did tires or technology, which one makes the most difference. And we do a pretty good, it's actually a video I'm pretty proud of making, the tires and technology video, because it kind of surprised me and I'm happy with what it turned out to be. And it hasn't had a ton of views yet. So make sure you check that one out as well. We'll talk about the terrain modes because again, Americans don't have that. But overall, you still have a digital dash. Most people are not going to notice any difference between this and the top trim level. And if I'm really, really honest, despite the fact that I actually bought the ultimate trim, so the top level trim, this is probably the model for most people. You do have those 18-inch wheels instead of 20-inch wheels, but you keep a lot of the key features that I think a lot of people want. You have things like the lane follow assist, the smart cruise control, the digital dash here. You do move to an 8-inch screen. We're going to show you the 10.25-inch screen in the other vehicle, and that means that you have the different backup camera with just the backup camera. It's very clear, it's very large, but it is just a backup camera, whereas we have the 360 camera on the other vehicle. The 360 camera means that when I signal on the ultimate trim, this can become a live video feed of my blind spot, or if I signal this way, this will become a live video feed of my blind spot. You still have the blind spot detection and the blind spot collision avoidance system, but you don't have that live video feed of your blind spot because you don't have the cameras in the mirrors here. So not a big deal for most people, but it is a feature that you'll lose. Another little feature that people don't really think of. This one has the wipers that are, if I can get to the, let me just try to see if I can zoom in here. It does not have the auto wipers. So you have it mist, off, and intermittent. We have an auto setting in the higher trim and not this. So there are some minor sacrifices, but generally when you get in this vehicle, you look around and you've got sort of this cloth, sort of the nice materials here, cloth, and then sort of a soft touch here, soft touch into the doors, the piano black, which I think looks nice. Some of you guys don't love it as much. You do have technically a volume knob and a tuning knob here, but they're not like the knobs, like regular knobs. They're just wheels here. But if you want physical controls for those kind of things, you do get that here. Once the screen takes over that whole area, you lose that. And we'll show you that in the other vehicle in a second. You still have the auto dual zone climate control with the diffuse function in both these cars. The diffuse function is one of my favorite things because it takes the vents, which normally you just have vents here and over there, and it actually spreads the air through all of these little perforations from that vent over across the whole dash there, in through these vents, across to more perforations over in this part of the dash and into the vent there. And it spreads that air out kind of evenly, and it feels like just a nice comfortable breeze when you use that function in this vehicle. And again, that dual zone climate control is kind of nice to have for multiple passengers. You also still have the sunroof. You also still have the Bose audio system. So really well equipped car here. One thing you're going to lose, and we'll show it to you again as well, is you don't have the HomeLink mirrors there, or HomeLink buttons on the mirrors to set your garage door, and it's an auto or a manual dimming mirror as opposed to the auto dimming mirror. You still have BlueLink system on this, which means it's a cell phone app that can remote start the car. You can also use the features here to call a tow truck, call for help. But the bigger thing that you're going to use that for is the cell phone app to, like I said, remote start the car, check on various features in the car. I haven't hooked up on my car and I'm filming with my phone, and my phone has told me, hey, your door is still unlocked. So you can set notifications to get those or not get those. I like to be told if my car door is unlocked or if my vehicle door is left open. Those kinds of things are, nice features to have when you walk away from the car and you get them on your phone. So I'm getting those while I'm filming a little bit here. Down here, you do have ambient lighting, but it's 10 colors. The other car is called 64 colors, but I'm going to make the argument that it's more than 64 colors. I'll explain that when we get in the other car here. But overall, you have a wireless phone charging pad down here, and you have USB, 12 volt, and USB. So that's going to be identical in both cars. And the one benefit of this smaller 8-inch screen, you do run a little bit different software, but the benefit of this screen is you have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. And in short, the research I'm telling me that I've done is on the larger screens, you don't have that right now. So the higher trim, you have wired Android Auto and wired Apple CarPlay. You do have factory navigation in that car, but being wired it does seem like that will never come as a wireless. It's not like you're going to get an upgrade in the future and it'll be wireless. You have to be prepared that you will never have that on the higher trim. So again, this lower trim vehicle seems to package everything right. Like I said, the Bose audio to me makes a big difference. When you tap into the radio here, you can see it is AM, FM, and Sirius XM, and HD radio, and the Bose audio. So really you're getting kind of the best of everything in here. You've got the 8-speed automatic transmission. This one is the dual clutch because, again, everything in Canada is the turbo engine. And then you have drive and terrain modes here. So drive and terrain modes. In the States, you only have drive modes, not terrain modes. And let's just cycle through them because it's the same in both vehicles here. So drive and terrain modes. Cycle down, you've got smart, normal, and sport. If you're looking for your snow mode because you're American, we go over to terrain modes. We get snow, mud, and sand. And again, I want to do a little plug for that video I did. One of the videos I'm most proud of that I think that we did a decent job on is the tires or technology video. Maybe I'll just link that in the description when this video is done. But tires or technology, which one's better? Where we show that snow mode in action in snow on my vehicle, which is the other one we're going to show you in a second here. But that terrain mode kind of makes a difference. And a lot of the videos that are using this vehicle have no understanding of how the terrain modes work. And for instance, certain tests, you should put it in mud mode for certain tests. Sand mode might be good. So in the States, you only have that locking differential, but here you have those drive modes that work better. To be blunt, it's a better system that we have here. Why do we have it? I'm not sure. We mentioned the sunroof, so let's jump in here. And we'll come right down here all the way down. Cup holders in there. Electronic parking brake. So again, basically the same thing here. The only thing you're missing out of this one, on this section here, is you have heated seats, heated steering wheel, but you don't have the ventilated seats on either side. So ventilated seats missing from this trim line. But I think for most people, when you get in this car, the feeling in here is this is a class above. And I know some of you are going to want to mention the Ford Maverick, so let's just talk about it. Ford Maverick in the States, pretty good deal. You can't get the hybrid is what I'm hearing right now. It's just pretty much non-existent, but that's brilliant. To have a hybrid that's in the price class of an Elantra, basically you can decide, do I want an Elantra with a few safety and luxury options, or do I sacrifice those safety and luxury options, get basically the same mileage, and get a Maverick? Great idea in the States. Canada, we don't have anything in that lower end trim. All of our vehicles are higher spec, higher trim, and my argument here would be, even in this trim and all the trims, the Maverick in Canada still looks like an economy car that's just got a lot of features added up. Whereas this one here feels much more, when you sit in it, much more like a luxury vehicle. The features, the safety features, I think work better. I think that's fair to say versus Ford system. Certainly the lane keep, lane follow, that kind of thing. Highway drive assist on the other system, intelligent speed limit assist on the other vehicle here. And when you price a Maverick in Canada up to the equivalent equipment, which isn't really equivalent, you're basically the same price. So there's not that price advantage in Canada. The Maverick doesn't have the price advantage in Canada that it does in maybe the States. So something to keep in mind for all those people like, oh, but the Maverick is cheaper. Not necessarily, unless you get the bottom end. And at that point, you're not dealing with this car anyways. All right, let's jump out for a second. Instead of taking your questions right now, I just want to show you a couple differences in the top line trim. And then we will go take your questions. And then we'll keep going through the outside of the vehicle and talk about a few more features. Obviously, I'm a fan of this vehicle. I bought one. So if you're looking for an unbiased review, this ain't it. But I am someone who knows the car and can tell you about what it's like. And I like to be honest. So first of all, winter tires, again, and wheels, they should be 20 inches. And we showed you them earlier. I just have my winter tires on here. We're going to show you lighting difference in a minute. I did tint the front windows, which looks far darker on camera than it is in real life. Inside, I've got some WeatherTechs here, which are amazing. I love WeatherTechs, and they're great in this vehicle. But overall, let's jump in here for a second to show you a couple differences. So we do have the same dash in here. There are some more functions, and those will pop up as we do different things. One thing, if I start the car for a quick second and signal to the left, there's that live video feed of my blind spot. There's a live video feed of my blind spot there. Again, you get that in this vehicle. I think it's worth having. You also have multiple user modes here. So Peter, driver 2, and guest. I haven't even set up anybody else on here. The reason I think these multiple user modes are very good is because you're not just setting things like your navigation system. I'm just turning down the volume on my radio. I'm not sure what's going to turn on here. But you're not necessarily just getting radio presets as the change here. A lot of the safety systems in this car, you can customize to react the way you want. So like talked about the intelligent speed limit assist. So basically when I put it on cruise control, I can tap a button and it'll go exactly to the speed limit. I actually have it set up to go 10 over the speed limit. That's pretty common in Canada. So when I hit the cruise button on the highway, it's going to go 110 kilometers an hour unless I want to adjust it individually from there. My wife, if she was to drive this car, may not want that feature on or may want things different. So you can customize the drive mode so that when they drive the car is perfectly set up for them. And I compare it to like having a cell phone. Sharing a cell phone with someone would be very weird. But this one, of course, doesn't have that issue. So Peter's not letting his wife drive the Santa Cruz or she doesn't want to drive it. Both. Okay, moving on. So again, you have navigation here. This is kind of your home screen. You have an advanced software system here, so you can see your navigation. You can see all kinds of things. That's kind of nice. We still have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but it is wired. It is not wireless. Coming down here, you have the auto's climate control, same exact thing. When we talked about the ambient lighting, why don't we just quickly show you that for a second here. So we'll go back over here. The difference in the ambient lighting is, if I go to the setup here, oops. I'm looking through the camera here instead of looking at my actual screen, and that's throwing off my touches here. All right, so we're gonna go to lights, and we're gonna go to ambient lighting. Now, technically, I can go to the colors here, and there's all these colors right here. Right, so we have the custom color. We can set the custom color. They say there's 64 colors of light in here. There might be 64 colors in that color wheel. I haven't counted them, but one day I will. But it doesn't have polar white in there. There's no white. There's no moon white. Some of these colors, like the orchid green, I can't seem to get, or the freesia yellow, I can't seem to get either. So some of these colors that you see in this sort of 10 color choice, which is the same color choices you would have in the other car, those are the 10 colors. You don't get in this 64. So I'm going to argue that there's more than 64 colors of ambient light, and my daughter likes to play around and choose my ambient light colors. You can also set them up for the drive modes, but just so you know, the ambient lighting is a difference there, and it's a little bit more, actually, why don't we show you this too? It's a little bit more colors than the 64, I think. Throwing it in reverse, you have the 360 camera, which is I think it's a nice little advantage. It's not something for everybody, but you can really sort of see where you are. Once I go drive again from here, it shows me the front camera out here. You can see things like where the car is going to swing if I was to turn the wheel. The side would also kind of curl this way, so you know where the front of the vehicle is going to swing when you throw it into reverse. Same idea. You can see the front end is going to swing that way as we come around here. So I just really like this 360 camera. To be very blunt, as an owner of this vehicle, the rearward visibility is fine when you're driving, but if you look over your shoulder, you do have a limited view. So the backup camera is a necessity in this car, in my opinion, and the 360 camera just makes it better. I don't think about a lack of visibility. Looking forward in these cars, excellent visibility, very, very good. But there is some lack of visibility to the back, especially backing up, which again, the backup camera is fine, but the 360 camera is better. So it is a reason to maybe move up. And then again, just down here, we'll show you quickly, we've got the ventilated seats here, as well as the heated seats, heated steering wheel, and that's both front seats, 3 levels of heating, 3 levels of ventilation. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna do the classic YouTube beg for likes. We got about 64 people on right now. There's no reason we can't get to probably 70 or 80 likes. Let's go for 80 likes. Let's do something ridiculous. So 42 of you said, yes, I'm willing to like this video. If we all do it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and like the video right now, we'll probably have about 100 people on it by the end of this video all together at the same time. So we'll have 500-600 people on this video at the end. So let's go take your questions. Do me a favor, if you can like it, that'd be cool. And if you don't like the vehicle, no problem. Give me some credit for doing my best here. All right, so let's go over, take your questions. We do have to show you one more difference, and this is one thing I have to get to, is the lighting is different here. In the States, you have LED lighting on both the top 2 trims. That's not the case in Canada, so I want to show you the difference in the headlights and the signal lights, and also talk about some of the differences between Canadian and American lighting. So we'll do that before we finish. We're also going to go to the bed areas, to the trunk areas. I've done videos of these vehicles before, so you'll see sort of a more in-depth view of the bed in probably some other videos, but we're going to get to that in this one as well. So if you just hang with me for a second. Somebody says, I wish it was a hybrid. I do too. Just real quick clarification. These tow about 5,000 pounds, or capable of towing 5,000 pounds. If you add a hybrid in here, you're going to lose some towing capacity simply because of the fact that you're adding weight of the batteries to the chassis. That alone will take some of that towing capacity away, take some of the carrying capacity away. The reason I didn't wait for a hybrid, and you guys know I'm a huge EV electrification guy. I drive an EV. We have an EV in our family and the Santa Cruz. I didn't wait for a potential hybrid or plug-in hybrid because I like the capability. I think it's going to lose capability, and I wanted all the trims, and when you add the hybrid system on that, it might get more expensive. So hybrid would be cool, and they probably will come out with that at some point, but I don't know when that's going to happen. So How do you use the HD data on the radio? I think you just use it. Maybe I'll do a better video on that in the future. That's probably something for a different video, so I will try to get to that on a separate video. Explain how to use standard cruise control in the Santa Cruz. It's basically set up as a smart cruise control only, so that's sort of the short answer. There's some mysteries on the Kia EV6's trims, I think you meant. Yes, we'll do a live chat on the EV6 trims in the future, no problem. Santa Cruz you can't lose, I like that comment. Somebody says they're getting a Tucson hybrid. Tucson hybrid has very much the same interior, different engine, different transmission, different rear seat, different trunk. But yeah, very much the same interior, and there are some similarities there. What else we got? Santa Cruz is smaller than the Ford Ranger, but the same size as the Ford Maverick. Yeah, and you know what? To be fair, the Maverick as a whole class of vehicles in Canada is better. It's got more features. In Canada, we don't get the base trim of any kind of Santa Cruz. All of our vehicles have the hard tonneau cover. All of our vehicles have the turbo. All of our vehicles have the dual clutch transmission. That's fantastic. I do think in Canada, the Santa Cruz is a better option when you get into the Santa Cruz price range, which is, again, those turbo engines. I will argue that all day long. And for some people, the Maverick might be better, and go ahead, buy the Maverick. But in the lower trim line, we don't have that in Canada. And the Maverick's going to clean up, and they should. I think that's a brilliant idea to have a low trim line car or truck like that. Why are cars different between American and Canadian ones? Basically, you've got two head offices making decisions for their own countries to match to their own country's pricing and options and features and that kind of thing. And Canadians tend to get better equipped vehicles. Americans do have a better warranty. You can get that warranty in Canada, you just have to pay for it separately. So that's something to keep in mind. No memory seats. No memory seats. Now here's my theory on the memory seats. And there's also one other thing missing from these vehicles. There's no auto start stop. So when you come to a stoplight, the engine turns off. These cars don't have that. I think that when they launched this vehicle, they were aware of the chip shortage. I think they kept memory seats out for a chip savings, and I think they kept that auto start stop out for a chip savings. I think that's what's going on. All right, real quickly, let's go around a couple things. Both have roof racks. Really key feature to have roof racks. You don't get that in something like the Maverick, and I think it's a really key piece to carrying stuff because the bed is short. It's short for a pickup truck. You're not going to realistically sit a motorcycle in there or even bicycles. You're going to put them on the roof rack or the hitch rack. I've got pictures of both of them. We can do roof rack, hitch rack, whatever. I think that's important to have on these vehicles, something that's secure. Why don't we do lighting first, and then we'll talk about everything else because I want to make sure I cover the differences in that half-hour span, and then we'll talk about a couple of the bed differences. So turning the vehicle to the on position, I've got the headlights fully on this vehicle. We'll just jump in the other one here and do the same thing. All right, headlights fully on. Got the key in there, there we go. Okay, so right away, this camera does not film high or LED lights very clearly, but I don't think you can deny the LEDs are brighter and they are whiter. It still looks yellowy on camera, but you can see both have sharp cutoffs, but there's just a lot of brightness down there and a really precise cutoff line with the LED lights. It's an advantage. There's no way to go around it. I think, to be blunt, they should have put it on this model in Canada. And maybe the reason they didn't is because, like I said earlier, this is probably the car for most people. That one just adds a lot more options. But this one has a lot of the key options except for it just has the halogen lights. And as I mentioned, they're dirty, so it looks a little bit less precise, but you can see they have that sharp cutoff. And now the difference as well is your signal lights, and we should turn on one signal in each vehicle just so you can see the difference as well. Going left signal here, and we'll go left signal over here. The signal lights also in this vehicle are different. I don't know if that's gonna make a huge difference to a lot of people, but we'll show you while we're here. So signals in the mirrors on both, so you still have the high-end look there. But down here you have the halogen signal, which kind of glows brighter and glows off, whereas you have the LED signal over here, which is instant on, instant off, a little more cool like that. These lights, lights through here are identical in both cars. In the States, sometimes the lower trims have sort of no tinting on these lights when they're off. You guys have all seen these things when they're off. It sort of blends into the grille completely. That's because we have a dark tint grille on both these cars. These lights actually dim when the headlights are on, so they'll be brighter when they're not on both vehicles. And then again, the LED headlights, just blazingly bright, very white. So I just think the grille on both looks fantastic. It doesn't film very well, these lights, to be very blunt. It looks better in person by a lot. And these do dim when the headlights are on. Out back, we'll show you both vehicles. Not a whole lot to show you here. No LED rear lights, which I'm a little disappointed in. Your backup lights are right down there, so right there and right there. I don't believe they are LED either, but really, you've got identical lights on both. No real difference there at all. So high-end looking vehicles all the way around, but a little bit difference there. While we're here in the bed, you've got the tonneau cover, which is in both. I've got it open over here. You've got the full suite of bed packages here. So you have the underfloor trunk in here, which again, some people claim it's small because I think they're thinking of the Honda Ridgeline. Honda Ridgeline absolutely has a deeper trunk than this, but when you've already got the covered bed, and then you also have a lockable, clean storage space that you can throw muddy things in and rinse out. You can use it as a cooler and fill it with ice. You can put your dirty stuff in, clean stuff in, doesn't matter. It's easy to clean and that. So there we go. So the trunk is super, super helpful. And anybody who says it's not, I don't get what they're saying. What I use it for in mine all the time is I used to have a pickup truck before and I'd take my computers home and I'd have to throw them in with my kids in the back because I had an open bed or I had something in the bed that was open. And I didn't like doing that. So you've got the trunk in all of the models here in Canada. You've got the tie downs that are one over here, one over there, one over there, and the same thing on the other side. So you've got upper and lower tie downs everywhere. And then of course you've got the adjustable ones on both sides, which let me just see if I can film with one hand, and you pull the centerpiece out towards you and this can slide and it locks in place. So you can put those tie downs anywhere you want. It's a really, really good system to have. It's standard here in Canada. And then both boxes here are about the same size. There's one on each side. This one in here has a plug in there, and you do have the ability to have minor items powered. It's not something crazy. Actually, funny thing is when I was setting up my Christmas lights, we had a power outage at my house for a bit. There was a big bang and the power went out, and they had it on an hour later, but I didn't want to stop setting up my Christmas lights. So all I did was take my Christmas lights out in the front of the house and I plugged them into the back of the truck, and I kept decorating, made sure they all worked and they all looked pretty good. So kind of cool to have that. So again, tonneau cover slides fully back there. Some people will complain that this does take up some bed space, and if you are someone who needs that bed space, technically this thing comes off, but it's not easily taken off. In Canada, you're basically going to keep it on there. It does take up some bed space. So if you need a full-size pickup, this isn't it. This isn't going to work. But again, when it's covered, it looks like this. For my use, it is absolutely perfect to have this covered bed space, to be able to open it up. For what I'm going to do with my truck, it's perfect. I also have a hitch on mine, and I'll have some wiring. I'll be towing a trailer. You can tow 5,000 pounds. Integrated rear bumper steps, I just want to show you, both the vehicles have the same thing. So again, this has got some signage on there. The big thing is people sort of tend to point out there's 5 levels or 5 different steps. There's 1, 2, 3, and then on the very corner step there. So of course, when the tailgate's closed, 1 and 2, you have a left foot and a right foot, or a right foot and a left foot to get up and reach over the tailgate, which is a fairly tall tailgate still. You can reach in there, but it is still a fairly deep bed, which I like. But the corner steps, people seem to be confused about. The reason the corner steps are good is because if you have to climb into the bed, this is a problem. So what Ford did is they created steps that fold out of the tailgate. What GM did a long time ago before they started competing with Ford is they put a little corner step here. And we copied GM here. And we have this where you step your left foot in and you have a handle hold right here, which I should show you. You have a hand hold sort of in there. There's kind of a rubbery area. You can put your hand in there and you're stepping up and you're in the bed. I'm standing up in the bed right now. Somebody did ask me if the tonneau cover closes. I'll show you this one because it's just easier to get to right now. Or if it locks, excuse me. Yeah, so mine should be locked right now. Yeah, so when it's locked, that handle comes like that. When it's to lock it and unlock it, you just spin this down here. It actually says lock, and that's unlocked. Once you do that, the handle becomes active. You can slide it all the way back, super simple. And then you come with a strap. You can, a lot of us connect it here. You don't have to do that, but that just makes it easier to reach again. And pull it back and lock it in like that. And then I'm just gonna spin that handle again. Once I spin that yellow handle like that, then the handle's disabled and you can throw that up there. Simple, simple. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we'll go back to your questions. We're 33, 34 minutes in right now. We'll stay on for a few minutes if there's some good questions, and we'll try to make sure we show you everything you want to see between these two. So again, big thing to remember, Canada is different than the States. All of our vehicles are generally a little bit better equipped. The Ultimate and the Limited trim, so that's that vehicle there, normally has 20-inch wheels, but that vehicle is the same in Canada and the States, except for those terrain modes. And those terrain modes here, you can find them on the Kia Canada web, or the Hyundai, sorry about that, looking at the Kia sign. The Hyundai Canada website, you can find the H-Track all-wheel drive with multi-terrain modes. So you can go to the Santa Cruz section, go down to the performance section and you'll see this here, and you will have those modes explained, which is, if I can scroll right there, you'll see snow mode, mud mode, and sand mode. That can be found there with a little bit better explanation. It's not just the all-wheel drive. It's the all-wheel drive, traction control, stability control. It's a lot of systems monitoring, and to be honest, it's better. All right, let's go back to your questions here. And, all right. Somebody says, signal backup and license plate lights are not LED. Yeah, that's true. Don't know why. That's just what they do. It's good to have one driver with no safety modes on for car washes. Oh, okay. So sometimes the parking sensor. This car doesn't have the parking sensors that are going to stop you from maybe having issues in a car wash. Does it valet parking like the Tucson? No. So it does not have the key fob that sort of moves it forward and backward from the key fob like the Tucson. That's on the Tucson Hybrid. It's not on the gasoline models, and these are gasoline only, so it doesn't have those. Any plan for a hybrid version? Nothing official. We know that the platform, because it can handle it on the Tucson, could probably handle it on here. I think, to be very honest, with the chip shortage, they're going to roll with this vehicle as is for a while. Once inventories start to balance, hopefully middle to end of next year, then I think they'll consider other trims, but I don't think I would expect in the next model year at all, any news of a hybrid model coming out yet, just because I think they're going to see how it sells and do what they can with it first. But I think it's chip shortage related. They're not going to introduce something like that. We're already having a huge back order on Tucsons, Kia models as well that are hybrid and PHEV. There is a backlog there. So I think by the time they catch up with those models, then they'll be able to look at the putting some of that technology into this vehicle, and then they have to decide if they want to or not. So there we go. Went from E5 to E. Oh, you guys are talking about different types of gas. Okay. There is some ethanol in our gas. Yeah. Does your gas have bioethanol in it? Yeah. So we have, I think, 10% in some of our gas pumps ethanol in there. Higher the trim, the larger the wheels. What are the advantages? Okay, that's a good point. So a lot of people seem to think that when you have 18-inch wheels, and this one normally has 20, so again, just so you know what we're talking about, this white vehicle should look like this with the proper wheels on it. That's the same exact vehicle with the summer wheels or the regular wheels that come with it. I put winter wheels on. So the advantage is twofold. You do have a larger sidewall here, which can give you some advantages off-road. Now, I'm going to argue that most people are not going to go so far off-road that you won't keep the same, the same thing here. So this is like 1 inch less sidewall because it's 2 inch less, 2 inch bigger rim. So it's 1 inch less sidewall. It's still a pretty big sidewall. If you had 15-inch tires with a small sidewall, I think it's different than having 20-inch with a smaller sidewall because it's not really that small of a sidewall. So off-road, again, that sidewall might not pinch as much. Some people think you'll have a handling difference between the two, and that's possible. There might be a slight difference in feel. But again, the suspension tuning is so good. Some people think that the 18-inch wheels and tires with that larger sidewall are going to give you a ride advantage. I'm not convinced that's true anymore in 2022 because the way they've tuned the suspension on these vehicles is so good. I've driven my vehicle with 18-inch wheels, which are the winter tires, and 20-inch wheels, and I'm going to argue that the sidewall doesn't do as much suspension absorption as it used to have to do because they've got better tuning of the suspension in these vehicles nowadays. And that boils down to really precise, high-strength steel everywhere, really precise suspension tuning. Both these cars ride really smooth over I say cars because they ride like cars. They ride really smooth over the fine ripples in the road especially. And a lot of time we used to rely on tires for that, but now they're capable of doing the suspension. So really, to me, for the average user, the larger tires are purely looks. They're definitely is a case on the racetrack to have a certain amount of lesser sidewall so there's less flex, but you're not going to be driving these cars that hard that often to really gain a big benefit. I think it's purely just looks at this point. I downsized these for the winter for two reasons. One, a little bit more rubber can't hurt. A little bit more sidewall, can't hurt in the winter when it's a little bit rougher roads. But more importantly, it's just less expensive to go to a 18-inch wheel to buy the 18-inch rubber. So that's why I did. Took me a while to find my secret to my key fob remote start on mine. Oh yeah, we should just show you how to do that. Key fob remote start, lock it, hold it down. If you don't lock it first, then it won't hold on, it won't go. What's the capacity for towing? Does it have a lane backup camera for towing? So it does have both of these tow 5,000 pounds. Let's be fully clear. You're probably not going to tow 5,000 pounds with these. But if you have to tow 3,500 pounds, for instance, you're not maxed out in any way. You've got tons of space. You're gonna buy an aftermarket trailer brake controller. It's not a big deal. You can mount them inside. I'm not gonna mount mine inside. I have an aftermarket controller that we'll talk about in a later video. But what I'm gonna use, it's really not a big deal, a couple $100 to add that on. So the Ford one has one built in and everybody's like, oh, you can't tow because it doesn't come with the factory. You can still tow 5,000 pounds. You're gonna buy an aftermarket trailer brake controller and tow with that. So 5,000 pound tow capacity, 311 foot-pounds of torque. And like, for instance, we compared this vehicle, exact vehicle actually, to the former Chevy Colorado I used to have. It had 270-ish foot-pounds of torque, but it's like a 500-600 pound heavier vehicle. So you've got way more torque than a lot of mid-sized trucks, and you've got a lighter vehicle. So it should be excellent for towing. I'm gonna do some towing tests on this vehicle a little bit later next year. So we were going for about 70 or 80 likes. We got 68 likes right now. So if you haven't given us a like, if there's 12 more people out there that give us a like, let's do that. We're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna continue to cover my vehicle. I have what's called a Peter's playlist here in my YouTube channel. I'm gonna continue to cover that vehicle in detail as we go into further detail, but I did wanna do this trim package comparison today, so hopefully you get a bit of a sense about one over the other, which one that might be best for you. And again, we're gonna follow this vehicle, and the nice thing is when I actually spend my own money to buy a vehicle, I'm gonna be honest if there's a problem. If there's something wrong with it, we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna put it on video, we're gonna talk about the solutions, we're gonna talk about our communications with Hyundai or Kia in my other case, because I have a Kia Soul EV. Reliability is not a concern for me. I'm not worried about it. For the intended use I have, it should be perfect. So, but yeah, if there's a problem, we're gonna make a video about it as well. So there you go. Thanks everybody. We got to 74 likes, so I guess we're not gonna hit 80. Hey, we tried. We're back again tomorrow. Hopefully we have the new Forte, the new Forte GT line and GT, and if not, we'll just keep going with what we got until we get those cars. I wanna thank everyone for joining us. It's been fun. Make sure you hit the like button, comment. Let's talk about these cars. I'm a big fan, so we'll do more videos on them in the future. Thanks everybody. We'll talk to you soon.